Okay, there are some misconceptions and curious beliefs out there, at least in my little corner of the United States, and I thought it would be interesting just to tell you about some that I've come across. As a teacher, I teach business English, communications, a couple other things, and I just had this little section of English where I had my students read their essays, and one of the things I encourage them to do is an opinion piece. Pick a topic that may be controversial, collect your information, give us your argument, your logical argument, and so on. And it struck me in hearing these presentations that there are just some curious misconceptions that people hold. Some people hold them as true, and they're widely accepted. And I just want to do a little survey here of some of the ones I've come across. And to begin with, let's see, from my students. Actually, a while back, there was one student who told me that when she was pregnant, a possum crossed her path and it frightened her. And as a result of that, her daughter was born, the daughter she was pregnant with, was born resembling a possum. And I said, you don't really believe that, do you? She said, oh yes, I believe that. So that's interesting. Would that be Lamarckian evolution? I'm not really sure what that would entail. Okay, but anyway, 2 days ago, actually yesterday, I had a presentation one student did on prayer in public school. In the United States, we have 1962, the Supreme Court ruled that you cannot have directed prayer from a teacher to begin the school day. It's obvious, which prayer you're going to use. States endorsing it, school is mandatory, etc., etc. And to some people that made, and of course, the student who gave the presentation said, look, we need prayer in public school, again, because since prayer was taken out, there's been a rise in violence across the country, there's been a rise in sexually transmitted diseases, there's been all this sort of thing. And during the course of her paper and writing it, she's a very smart lady, but I was trying to get her to make the connection. If you can make the connection between those things, as opposed to just saying they happened at about the same time, then we're talking. But it was an interesting presentation, and it kind of opened the doors. Another student who said that when she was in high school, she had an experience with a biology teacher. She said she had several experiences in biology in particular. One had to do with a teacher. She told a teacher, biology teacher, that the teacher was crazy. And she said, yeah. I said, why'd you do that? She said, well, the biology teacher said that an embryo, I'm not sure if she used the term embryo, but embryo has gills in the neck at the early stage of development. And I told her she was crazy, and they sent me to the office. And I said, good, they should have sent you. But no, and I'm thinking, well, I guess what she should have said was that there is, traditionally there's this summed up in the term ontogeny recapitulates phylogeny, I believe. The idea that the stages of embryonic development, within them you see a rough correlation between the stages of human evolution and so on. And I said, well, what can you say to that? I just, I started thinking though. I mean, that's really the way a lot of us react to things that sound crazy to us, isn't it? It's like, you're crazy to believe that. When I hear somebody tell me the Earth was created in 6 days, the Earth is 6,000 years old, my first impulse is to say you're crazy. But maybe that's the problem. Maybe we're not kind enough in our in our opposition. Maybe people would be more receptive to it. Certainly in rhetoric, you think, you want people, you want to find that thing that you all agree on first, and then you can build on that, and hopefully you can you find those enthymemes, and you can start with that foundation, and hopefully lead the person wherever you want to. And you're not going to do it by saying you're crazy. Even to someone who believes her possum-faced daughter was the result of her her fear during pregnancy, her start at seeing a possum. So, I don't know, just a few misconceptions that at least I say they are. I don't know, maybe it's true. Does anybody have any evidence to support that? If so, I'm open to hear it. But the student who gave the presentation on prayer in school, and I asked her, I said, well, look, what if you had an Islamic teacher who, because there was some discussion, I think one student actually said she had a history teacher in her public school who told the class, we're going to look at the Bible now, and we're going to pray. And if you have a problem with it, you're free to step out in the hall or do something else. And some of the students listening thought that was a good idea. I said, well, wait a minute. If you have an Islamic teacher who says, we're going to say an Islamic prayer now, and for those of you who don't like it, you're free to go out in the hall, how would you respond to that? Oh, no, that would be different. I said, well, wait a minute. Why would it be different? If you had someone from the Church of Satan, and so, and I started bringing up all these hypotheticals and possibilities and trying to bring the argument to its logical extensions. And the lady giving the presentation she was getting more and more frustrated, and finally she said, "You read too much." I thought that was funny. But anyway, so what are some misconceptions that you've heard that people believe? We don't think about it sometimes, but people believe some awfully odd things. We assume that everybody accepts certain things as a foundation. There's this these set of assumptions. We assume everybody accepts certain things, and sometimes we're wrong. And it's interesting to step back and see how wrong we are. Maybe that's why we don't communicate well enough with other people. Maybe that's why we don't convince other people, because we don't find those enthymemes. We don't find those points of, can we at least agree that, fill in the blank. Maybe we think we're doing that, and we're not. Maybe that's one of the reasons why there's so much confusion, conflict, misunderstanding between people of different beliefs. I don't know. What do you think?